We've seen the videos, Favre's arm strength, Brady's clutch factor, Manning's football IQ, Vic's mobility. The blueprint for the ultimate QB has been drawn 1,000 times over, but today, we're not doing that. We are diving into the underworld of the NFL, where we build the worst NFL quarterback of all time, from real NFL players to create the ultimate anti-GOAT. Where do we start building this disaster? It's got to be the arm strength. Really, really bad arm strength, to be specific. So let's talk about Chad Pennington, the guy who had a rocket launcher that shot marshmallows. Now, back at Marshall, and through his first year as a starter in the NFL in 2002, his arm really wasn't that bad. I mean, it was decent, nothing crazy, but he could throw it downfield when he had to. Then, the injuries happened. Multiple shoulder surgeries that basically turned his cannon into a water gun. After all of that, Pennington's deep ball became legendary, and not in a good way. We're talking about throws that just hung in the air like they were fighting gravity and losing. Defensive backs had enough time to grab a snack before the ball got there. His arm got so weak that playing with Pennington and Madden was actually frustrating. You'd call it deep route, hit the button, and watch the ball float through the air like a beach ball in a storm. Those 40-yard bombs, forget it. The game couldn't even pretend he had an arm to make it work. But even with that noodle arm, the dude had a pretty solid career. He was surgical with his accuracy, leading the league in completion percentage twice. In 2002, he even had the best quarterback rating in the entire NFL. Look, accuracy can take you places, but we're building the worst arm strength for our Frankenstein QB. Pennington is exactly what we need. Okay, so we got our noodle arm, but now we need to throw in some accuracy, or rather, lack of accuracy. So who can we rely on to throw it anywhere except where it's supposed to? There's only one answer: Tim Tebow. Look, you can make an argument that the guy could be called one of the most clutch quarterbacks ever. Tebow time was legit, but even the biggest Tebow fans have to admit the man couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if it had a giant bullseye painted on it. During his first 3 NFL seasons, Tebow had a career completion percentage of 47.9%. I mean, that's the kind of number that makes coaches wake up in cold sweats. On top of that, his mechanics were just weird. Add in some questionable processing, and you had a recipe for some truly wild misses. Even with all of that, Tebow created some of the most magical moments in recent NFL history during that 2011 season. The dude had this supernatural ability to just pull wins out of nowhere. And that overtime pass to Demarcus Thomas in the playoffs against Pittsburgh, just awesome to watch.
Got him at the 40. It's Thomas at the 50. Stiff arm got him free to the 30, to the 20. Thomas to the...
But even those miracle moments couldn't hide the basic problem. When Tebow threw the ball, it was basically a coin flip whether it would land anywhere close to his target. Defensive coordinators probably had nightmares trying to game plan against him because his accuracy was so random that even Tebow didn't know where the ball was going. For our worst quarterback build, that kind of wild, unpredictable accuracy is exactly what we need. And you know what else is really important for a quarterback? Staying cool when giant humans are trying to crush you. Well, meet David Carr, a guy whose pocket presence was basically non-existent. The dude is literally the most famous for getting absolutely destroyed behind the line before washing out of the league. Carr led the NFL in sacks 3 different times, which gets even crazier when you realize he only really played properly for about 5 seasons. So in 5 years, he managed to lead the entire league in getting sacked 3 times. His rookie year was a complete nightmare. Carr got sacked 76 times. That's still the NFL record. 76 times. That's almost 5 sacks per game, every single week, for an entire season. By the end of that year, the guy was probably jumping at his own shadow. The really sad part is that Carr became gun shy, and the Texans had this terrible offensive line that basically broke him mentally. Every snap became a potential disaster in his head. For our worst quarterback, you need someone who treats the pocket like it's filled with lava.
And then I just started running around. I remember being in the huddle, and we'd get down in the red zone, and our best play literally was me dropping back, waiting for the line to kind of show a little bit of a crease because there was going to be one, right? And I would step.
Carr perfected that kind of terror. The guy would bail out even when the protection was solid, which is exactly the kind of pocket presence we need for our Frankenstein QB. Okay, but what about that clutch ability? Not Tebow time, no Brady doing his thing. No, we need the opposite of that. Who do you know who just has a knack for crumbling when it matters the most? I hate to say it, but it's got to be Tony Romo. I mean, he was actually a really talented quarterback, which makes his clutch failures even more brutal for Cowboy fans to watch. Look at his 2006 debut as a starter. The guy absolutely lit up the league and got Dallas their first playoff spot in 3 years. Then came the wildcard round against Seattle. Cowboys need just a 19-yard field goal to win and move on. It should have been automatic, but Romo famously botched the snap hold. Dallas goes home losing 21-20 in one of the weirdest playoff endings you'll ever see.
19-yard field goal attempt. Oh, it is stumbled. Romo's going to run to the end zone, and he's going to get tackled.
Then there's the 2008 collapse. Dallas starts 8-4 and just needs to win some games down the stretch to make the playoffs. Against Pittsburgh in a huge December game, Romo throws a pick 6 to Deshae Townsend in a 13-13 tie. The Cowboys had blown a 13-3 fourth quarter lead. But maybe the most painful was that 2011 Jets game on the 10th anniversary at 9/11. Romo throws for 342 yards and builds a 14-point fourth quarter lead. Then, he fumbles on the 1-yard line and throws a pick to Darrelle Revis that sets up the game winner. Just brutal, and exactly the kind of anti-clutch ability we're looking for. Alright, let's talk about quarterbacks who move like they're stuck in quicksand, and nobody personifies that more than Payton Manning. Now, Manning was absolutely brilliant. The guy revolutionized the position with his pre-snap reads and audibles. He basically changed how the game is played at the line, but when it came to actually bailing out of the pocket, the dude moved like he was wearing concrete boots. Even with that, Manning possessed information so fast and got the ball out so quick that his complete lack of mobility didn't really matter. His sack percentage was usually among the best in the league because he'd release the ball before pass rushers even knew what hit them. But in that last season in particular, he was much easier to hit. Whatever little movement he had just disappeared, and his sack percentage nearly doubled because his processing slowed down just enough for defenders to actually reach him. But Manning did have one of the most epic touchdown runs in quarterback history. And it was amazing precisely because nobody expected it. Against Dallas, he sold this play action so perfectly that the entire defense bit hard, leaving him with a wide open path to the end zone.
Can you believe it? Payton Manning runs it in for the touchdown.
Yeah, that's the slowest, most inevitable touchdown run you'll ever see. For our immobile quarterback, Manning's exactly what we need. Okay. Time to talk about the mental side of things. And there's only one guy we can go with here. Demarcus Russell is the perfect example of what happens when talent meets zero effort. Russell's story is legendary for all the wrong reasons. After getting paid as the #1 player, it was rumored he never studied film. His coaches got so frustrated with his lack of preparation that they literally gave him blank DVDs labeled as game film just to see if he was actually studying. Spoiler alert, he wasn't. The real tragic part about Russell is that he had every single physical tool you could want in a quarterback. We're talking about a guy who went first overall in 2007, ahead of a draft class that was absolutely stacked. That draft had Adrian Peterson, Calvin Johnson, Patrick Willis, Darrelle Revis, and Joe Thomas, basically Hall of Fame legends who dominated over a decade. Russell was supposed to be better than all of them. But here's the thing about football smarts. You actually have to care about football. Russell seemed completely uninterested in the mental side of the game. He didn't want to study film, learn progressions, or figure out what defenses were doing. The guy had this rocket arm and great size, but between his ears, nothing when it came to football knowledge. Russell's complete lack of interest in the cerebral side of quarterback play makes him perfect for a disaster build. But what about when it comes to leadership? That's one of the most important traits for a QB, right? I almost went with Sam Darnold here. Remember him seeing Ghost? The dude went viral for his terrible play. It was just brutal to watch. But after Darnold's solid 2024 season in Minnesota, the guys earned some redemption. Instead, we need to talk about Zack Wilson, who's probably one of the biggest quarterback busts in recent memory. Wilson actually got the same seeing ghost question from reporters during his time with the Jets. And you can literally see in his eyes that he was going through exactly that. The dude looked completely dead inside. He had zero leadership presence.
As an offense, though, I mean, when you guys are only able to score 3 points, the defense only lets up 3 points. I mean, do you feel like you let the defense down at all?
No.
It became painfully obvious to everyone around him. His career highlight was literally pulling MILFs at dive bars. In 3 seasons, Wilson managed just 33 starts and never threw for more than 2,400 yards in a single season. His touchdown to interception ratio was absolutely terrible. 23 touchdowns against 25 picks over his entire Jets career. His best quarterback rating any season, a pathetic 77.2, which is the kind of number that gets coaches fired. Look, there are several quarterbacks you could put in this leadership spot. But Wilson stands out because he had absolutely zero aura, no presence, no confidence, no ability to rally teammates when things got tough. For a worst quarterback build, Wilson's complete absence of leadership qualities make him the perfect choice. And last but not least, let's talk about staying on the field, which brings us to Robert Griffin III, a guy whose career basically became a lesson in what happens when your body just can't handle your playing style. Remember when RG3 beat out Andrew Luck for Rookie of the Year? That 2012 season was absolutely insane, and it looked like Washington had their franchise quarterback for the next decade, but Griffin never played a full season, not even during that amazing rookie year. Year 1, he managed 15 starts. Year 2, dropped to 13 starts. By his third season, he was down to just 7 starts. And after that, he was basically done as a starter in the NFL. The really cruel part is that RG3 lost some of that explosive speed because of injuries. He had to rely on traditional quarterback skills, pocket passing, reading defenses, going through progressions. Problem is, those really weren't his strengths. His whole game was built around that crazy athleticism, and when injuries took that away, he just couldn't adapt. Griffin's body became his worst enemy, constantly breaking down right when he needed it most. For our worst quarterback build, you need someone whose durability is so bad that you're basically planning for them to miss major time every single season. RG3 is the perfect fit for this spot. So there you have it, our Frankenstein quarterback.
It's moving. It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Chad Pennington's marshmallow arm, Tim Tebow's accuracy, David Carr's pocket panic, Tony Romo's clutch collapses, Payton Manning's lack of mobility, Demarcus Russell's blank DVD brain, Zack Wilson's lack of aura, and RG3's glass durability. A quarterback so fundamentally broken in every possible way that he probably still somehow win games just through unpredictability. When you combine all their worst traits into one player, you get the ultimate anti-GOAT. A quarterback who will simultaneously fascinate and horrify football fans everywhere.